Hi and welcome back to another video. It's been a while since I last brought you an update on our construction project, but today I've got something massive to show you. We've been working on a 2-bedroom duplex with a common area since October last year. I must say it's been a journey, and in today's video I'll walk you through the entire progress so far. That is from the site preparation all the way through to roofing, as well as some additional works that is being done or are going to be done. So without not talking further, sit back, grab some drinks and relax, and let's delve into the video. This duplex, I must say, is not your average 2-bedroom build. The structure covers a whopping 5,200 square feet and features a wraparound porch, kitchenette in each unit, closets, dedicated laundry areas, ensuite washrooms, a hip roof, and high ceilings to enhance natural lighting as well as ventilation. The project sits on a 4-plot of walled land, and because of its slope, we had to do a little bit of site preparation before construction could even begin. Now let's look at some of the things we actually did before we took off with this project. The land sloped downward, which made it tricky to build such a large structure without leveling it first. So we cut and leveled the site to create a solid as well as flat base for the building. Next, we marked out the grid lines from the building plan, transferred them onto the ground, and then went ahead to start the excavation. So the excavation includes the trenches for the blockwork as well as the columns. Though it's a single-story building, the sheer size meant we had to use standard size columns, just like those in multi-level story buildings. We used a 40mm steel bar for the columns instead of 16mm, which are usually employed for multi-level story buildings, but because this is just a single story, the 14mm works well. Every column had a mat in the foundation to ensure that long-term stability. As with all our projects, we added a damp-proof membrane in the foundation to prevent moisture penetration because, as you know, prevention is always better than cure. Once the foundation layout was done, we moved on to the concrete work as well as the block work, followed by the application of bitumen. So usually after the block work, we apply bitumen, that is the internal walls as well as the external walls, and then we go ahead to do the spreading of our laterite. So because of the size of the building, during the laterite spreading, we had to do the compaction along the line. So we spread the laterite in bits, then compaction. So as we were spreading, we're compacting all the way through to the top so that we had well compact soil throughout. After compacting the laterite, we installed all underground plumbing, introduced plain beams to strengthen the structure, and then also to reduce cracks. And then we went ahead to lay another damp-proof membrane on top of the entire floor. Then finally, we poured our oversight concrete, which is 6 inches thick for the main house and then 4 inches thick for the wraparound porch. This officially brought the foundation phase to a completion. So, and this was around sometime in December. So we took off sometime within the mid part of October, worked all the way in November through to December before the Christmas holiday. So we took like about 2 months to complete the foundation phase. As part of the challenges we had during this particular build, especially during the foundation, was supply of materials, especially for blocks, because we are currently relying on one big block factory in Ajadam, but because he also has to meet a lot of orders and the rest, at some point there was some slight delays, but all the same it was good. We were able to complete the foundation phase on time, and we took some break. Now, after the holidays and a short break requested by the client, we resumed working on the building sometime in February, that is this year, taking off with the superstructure. So for the superstructure, we first will introduce damp-proof course on top of our floor. Then we have our block work also come after. So we went ahead to complete all the block work, as well as tackling all the columns, and then especially the wraparound columns. Since we didn't have prefabricated molds for the required size, that is for the wraparound columns, we had to get a little bit creative, and by so doing we used the usual 12 inches square molds which are available, those black plastic ones, and rather introduce into them, that is plywood to each side, so as to reduce the size of the total size of concrete we are going to get after it was cast. So that was what we did. And then also we did cast the concrete in bits. So we did like the base. Once it dries, we move on to the top, or throughout till we had the total height that we wanted. And then also, as part of what we did install, that is, connecting beams from the wraparound columns to the actual house, so as to create a link between the columns and then the building, so as to maintain stability for the house. Because the building uses a heat roof, we made a porch column slightly higher, and then that is going to be able to allow more natural light, as well as more air into the house. And as you know, some of these small details are some of the things that brings about the difference and some of the works that we do. With the superstructure done, we move on to the roofing. Now for the roof trusses, we decide to go with steel trusses instead of wood, and this is because the client actually did a request, but it was actually part of our plans to go with that because of the size of the building. And also, steel trusses usually present certain advantages or benefits over wood, and as part of them is steel trusses are lighter than wood. They form accurate angles as compared to that of wood. They don't sag or warp over time as compared to wood. So with wood, if you have them installed and you leave them for a certain period of time, with maybe rains beating them, with sun shining on them, sometimes after a while you realize that their angles begin to distort, and this as a result of they sagging or even warping. So for a big project or a big building like this, wood wouldn't have been ideal. And also we were looking at something that lasts a little bit longer, so steel trusses last longer than wood. So that's part of the reasons why we also decided to go with steel trusses. And yes, it's a bit pricey up front, but the long-term benefit is actually worth it. So we are almost done with the steel trusses, and once that is wrapped up, we will go ahead to install a lightning arrestor and then move ahead to do the roofing itself. So for the roofing, we'll be using, that is, the roofing tiles instead of the typical long span roofing sheet. And then also the reason why we'll be installing lightning arrestor is because of the size of the building and the heat proof that we are using, so as to serve as a protection mechanism for the electrical appliances which are going to be used in the house once the building is completed. Now, because of the slope nature of the soil, which actually made us did some cutting and leveling, there's also the need to create or build a retaining wall to support the surrounding ground. So that is what we are currently doing at the moment, having a retaining wall done at a section that the curtain was done. Now for the retaining wall, we are using a mixture of blocks as well as columns as well as beams. And for the columns, they are spaced at every 8 feet. So every 8 feet we have a column with steel in it, and then for the column also we have a mat, which is also going to help with stability. And then as part of that also we have horizontal beams which are going to be installed halfway the block work. So once the block work is done halfway, we have a first beam, and then after the next set of blocks come, then we'll have our final beam on top. And all this is to to be able to create like a proper link between the walls, so as to be able to retain or hold the soil from moving apart. Now let's take a quick tour of the building from the ground level. So as you can see, this is the front part of the building. We have a unit to the left and then another one to the right. And then when we take a little bit walk towards the right part of the building, we see the wraparound porch that is also going around the right part of the building. You can see the columns evenly cast or distributed. Then we come to the back part of the building, you can see that is one of the bedrooms to the left, and then there's one to the extreme right at the far end over there. So that's also another bedroom, and you can see the connecting beams as well as the columns from this point. And this point is where we have our retaining wall done. As you can see, we have some steel, we have columns dark, and then we have the mat inside the columns so as to provide support for the retaining wall. Then we have our borehole up there. This was actually one of the first things that was done before the building project actually commenced, so it's really good it was done on time before we started work on the building. Then we come back to the front part of the building. At this point, let's take a quick walk into the building to see what it looks like. So at this point, we can see the linking or connecting beams from the wraparound porch column to the building itself. So this is the main common area I was talking about. To the left you have a unit there, and then to the right also we have a unit or a bedroom with its kitchenette as well as living space among others. So this is the common area of the building. This area measures a total of 750 square feet, and from there you can continue to a common kitchenette which is also around this space. And also it has a washroom, guest washroom, as well as a utility area. So this is the section for the kitchen, and then to the right part you have the washroom extreme corner there. So that's the washroom, and then from here next we have the utility room. So this is the utility room which is going to house a lot of things, so CCTV cameras, the electrical stuff, the solar stuff, among others. And then you have a small storage or pantry here as well. Then from this space we continue on to one of the bedrooms which is towards the right part of the building. So from there you have the washroom. So this is the washroom or the ensuite washroom, and then you also have a small laundry section around this point to fit in a washing machine. Then you have the bedroom itself. So this is the bedroom. Once you stand look throughout or you look outside through the window, you get a very nice view of the place. So this is towards the back part of the house, and then you also have a window towards the side of the house. So this gives you very great views of the valleys and mountains, hills all around towards that point. So it's really beautiful from this particular view. Then we take a walk back to the walkway where we have some closets. So there's a closet. We also have another closet here, and then you continue to a living space. So you can see that we have high ceilings for the entire building. So from here we continue to the living space. So this is a living space which has an open concept kitchen, and then over here also we have an entrance / exit that leads directly onto the porch, the wraparound porch. So you can enter the house from the main entrance where we went through, or you can actually enter, that is, if you're coming to the right unit, you can enter from that space. And this is where we have the kitchen or the kitchenette, which is attached to the living space. So an open concept kitchen, and also has amazing views from this particular window. So this is all towards the right part of the building. Now we are going to exit this unit through the entrance / exit here, back onto the porch, and then we'll take a walk through the porch to the other side. So you can see what it looks like walking around the porch. So you can imagine once this is completed, it will have higher ceilings, and you get to enjoy a lot of daylight into the space, as well as proper ventilation. So from there, now we are going to enter the left unit through the exit / entrance here, and it's just the same design as the other side, where you have the living space, as well as you have a kitchen or kitchenette area, a small pantry here, and then also when you go towards the other side, we have closets, as well as a laundry area. And then from the laundry area you proceed to the washroom, and then from the washroom you proceed to the bedroom. So this is like a corridor which has all those features, or yes, all those features. So that's the washroom over here, and then from here you can continue to the bedroom itself. So this is a very good size washroom, I must say. Very decent or good size washroom. So this is also the bedroom, the same design as the other one, the same number of windows, the same sizes of windows. And this one, towards the back, you get some nice views, but unfortunately towards the left side, you don't really get to see much from there. Probably get a little bit of views from the front, but aside that, you are just so you get to see a bit of the front and then the side. So this is what the inside of the building looks like. As we approach the final phases, we'll be handling some few other things like the sewage system. We are currently looking at whether to go with biodigester, septic, the traditional septic tank, biogas, among others. So these are things that we are currently discussing to see which will be appropriate for such a build. And then we'll also be doing a dedicated garage, which is equally going to serve as a carport. So we are going to have the solar panels installed on top of it. Yes, this house is also going to be using solar, not just not fully off grid, but it's going to use solar alongside that of the national grid. And as part of the works that we'll also be doing will be full landscaping. That is a compound house, how it will be landscaping. So I'll be bringing you details of all this, and then also we'll also be looking at the water storage system. There's currently a borehole for the house. We'll look at how to store water, and also be looking at the heating system, so the water heating system for the house. So this plus a few more external works that we'll be working on, and all these are going to come together to help us bring our project to a completion. So I'll be sharing details of all this with you once we work on them. So this is the update so far of this incredible duplex building. Yes, not your usual or ideal duplex or two-bedroom house. As we will be continuing to, as we'll be working on it, I'll continue to bring you updates as we move forward with some of the works, especially the internal works like piping, plastering, tiling, fixing of doors, windows, all the way through to the finishing. And I must say, if you haven't subscribed already, please make it a point to subscribe, drop a like, and share this video to others or with others who may be interested in construction, real estate, or even design. And that'll be just about it. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.